What if hotels stopped selling rooms and started selling stories? My guest today, Vladislav Valicek, believes the future of hospitality isn't about technology, but about orchestrating experiences the way a director shapes a film. In this conversation, we'll explore the invisible technology, cultural immersion, and sensory storytelling can transform a stay into a memory that lasts for a lifetime. Stay with us because the episode might just redefine how you see the role of storytelling in your hospitality property. So my guest today is Vladislav Valicek. He's a strategic management advisor for future-ready business organizations. Over 2 decades, he has led digital and organizational transformation across industries from telecom, pharma, to hospitality and insurance. So welcome, Vladislav. Nice to have you here today.
Nice to have you, Sam-Erik.
Vladislav, you have lived across continents, cultures, and industries. Let's start with a bigger picture before we dive into specific. You lived a life across so many cultures and disciplines, from tribes in Africa and Siberia to technology and guest experience. When you think of your journey, what story best explains why storytelling matters in hospitality today?
You know, all we have are the stories. We always tell some kind of the story. Is it technological? Is it even the process? Is the story? Yes, it is shaped like a bricks in the mortar, and it is not easy to change it. But when we understand that any interchange of information is the story we exchange with somebody, and having experience across different modalities of the stories, is it within a tribe, is it within a culture which actually is disappearing or has disappeared and now is living within catacomb, or is it high-tech process embedded within technology and AI and human workflow? These are all stories. And Joseph Campbell, he was doing comparative mythology, and he said there is only one story on this planet, and that story is hero's journey.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful said. And we tend to forget sometimes this so often, and the experience becomes very hollow and non-memorable and so on, because we don't pay attention to that so much. That's very well powerful said, what he said about there's one story. But if every hotel is itself a character, what personality traits should it embody to truly resonate with guests?
Yeah, we would like to imagine some kind of transactional blueprint which we glue inside of the hospitality organization, and then like a robot, organization would deliver that experience, that story. But every story is continuously interpreted depending who do we meet, in which context we meet somebody. And we have two polarities within hospitality organizations. One is the guest, another is organization itself. And when we are talking about guests, yes, we are using all these possible digital channels to reach and to touch through picture, few lines, and some price for comparability with others. And then we have our organization, which is the engine running the business. And then we have people in operations which are actually engaging with guests on the level of the human touch. And very often we bundle that one part in processes, another part in something we don't understand how to tackle within the culture of organization. And already there, you can see there is a certain level of chasm or schizophreny. What we wish that guest experience inside of the hotel and what is the culture inside of the hotel organization for hotel organization itself. And for that case, very often I say, if our employee cannot be our most valued guest, then we cannot pass the message to our most valued guest, which is visiting us as a commercial guest. So I see it on the level of understanding what culture is, how we build culture, and to be honest, and to say that how we have built cultures inside of the organizations, we mostly hoped that culture will happen. It wasn't deliberate. But for culture to be sustained within organization, we have really pay attention how we nurture culture, because that culture is then not the process, it is self-expressing within organization.
Yeah, I mean, I can, from my personal experience, see that developing a culture is the successful hotels have a leadership that embraces that. I understand the importance, the development and nurturing the culture, but also giving their employees empower them to be themselves and also be empathetic with the guest and make a decision on the spot to the best of their availability to solve any issues, because there's always some side steps. I mean, besides the robotic good morning, sir, and how was your stay? But then when things goes wrong, something goes wrong with the laundry, or something goes on with the missed luggage, or many things can happen. How is that being handled will be an opportunity for the employee to make a decision, and also some organizations are actually empowering them to have a financial decision making, that they can actually deduct quite a large amount from the bill if things didn't go right. Do you think does this kind of nurturing into a culture, does it take a generation to do, or is it can one do it in a short time, considering that we have people changing organization, there are people who have never worked in a hotel before, they're coming in. How long would that kind of process, you think, take before we can say, I think we have it together?
Not too long, if we pay attention to it. You know how it is, things happening at the places where we pay attention to. So at the beginning you said we had a leadership on one side, but I don't define leadership on C-level. Leadership in expression have to be present also in our housekeeper, in our receptionist. So leadership is not management skill. It's state of spirit of organization. And does somebody has allowance to spend some money to mitigate certain situation? That is like review websites where actually we are mitigating damage, not preventing, not directing outcome. So to change, actually, it just needs shift our attention. And up to now, that was very hard, because on people level processes, it was very hard to orchestrate processes and collaboration to have continuous meaningful impact. And on the technological level, we had, I call it this old technology we had up to now. That is old technology. And now we have that new technology, which is AI, I'm not fascinated with AI. It's just statistical engine. It's just another technology, but it can do something very interesting. It is narrative technology, so it can narrate and it can amplify and it can mirror. So whatever input we place inside of the AI, it can mirror us what we have placed and it can amplify our input. Meaning that if we pay attention to culture, to leadership, we will get amplification of culture and leadership. The main issue with AI today is that we are gluing it on the endpoints of our processes. But AI is actually stupid. It will return you garbage in, garbage out. So if we place garbage inside of the AI, it will amplify garbage. Why? Because for AI to function properly, it needs context. And context is not the leaf at the end of the branch. Context are the roots, context is the trunk, context are the leaves. And now we can orchestrate that with technology. And we have to be aware this mantra which industry is preaching around AI is mostly in their interest. We will not get amplifications or impacts inside of the organization just by rolling out 1,000 agents which are doing what? Actually, we are eroding base of capability of organization in that way. We have to approach it much smarter, but we have a technology with which we can very cost efficiently address topics which haven't been easy to address earlier.
Yeah, I mean, for the consumer and for particularly for hotels industry and hotels that has been always considered to be the behind the curve in many things and don't want to implement new things. They want to see how somebody else is implementing, and then if it works, then they will join in. And it's only after the pandemic and COVID we start to see escalation of talking about AI in the hotels. And then first it was, I could see that is in marketing. You start to see the copywriters start to use AI, but the learning curve to write those prompts and to put in the right information in order to get the valuable information out has been quite painful. And I still think that the on websites when we are advertising hotels, we are assuming that the AI understand what the word luxury means, and if we don't put enough information in there, how can it actually develop a story or picture or whatnot about that hotels? It turns out that hotels that call themselves luxury, it's just the word luxury and a picture, and that's it. And so there is a skill of how to use this artificial intelligence or the chat GPTs or various applications to get the most out of it. And I think eventually some people are doing it already, but I think we still have a learning curve, even it has been around for the last 3 or 4 years.
That part about luxury I will address a little bit later, but before that I would like to address that hotels are behind the curve. And it's a myth. I'm working within hospitality industry now for over almost 20 years. And amount of data sources which hospitality industry is handling is immense. So if you go in any vertical industry, they would get invoices, production, but over here, what we have over 20 channels from which information of the guests are coming. It's very complex. That is not simple problem to solve. I had a situation where I have been managing over 10 million guest profiles. And national banks have been coming and saying, oh, how you're doing that. We think about banking something complex, but compared to hotel and how many data sources it have to handle and duplicate and manage through time in real time, bank is simple case scenario. Hospitality is more complex, and it has technology which is in some senses more advanced and much harder to orchestrate in real time than than other businesses which have luxury to work in offline. Oh, we will process that over the night. In hospitality, nothing is processed over the night. Everything is processed in real time. And when we come to term luxury, earlier I said that AI is narrative engine. And the way how we interact today, even statistics are showing that, we either ask, there are two modes of work with AI. We either ask or we tell it to do something. Ask is artifact of Google search. Do is limited with how our process is automated that actually AI can do something. Yes, it can write a text, it can write a copy, but can it find a picture from our media library which will match to the context of the text? Will it go into revenue management? And it will not do that. So actually, we are having these little peaks where AI is doing something, but still we are copy pasting between AI and other systems. And very often I say that actually our workers, which are sitting behind the computers in back offices, they are turned into, their creativity is turned that they are copy paste machines between imperfect technologies inside of the organization, which are not connected in the smart way. Why? Because every department is a silo and every department is working within that silo. And even if we have marketing, revenue, and sales, and all of them want to bring the guest, all of them have different KPIs, which are not synchronized. And there is only one thing important: intent of the guest to come to the hotel. So we have to start breaking these silos inside of the organizations and start actually bringing operations much more, because sometimes back office detached from reality. Actually, we could outsource back office, but we cannot outsource operations on the level how operation, we can bring some kind of automation in it, but the culture and spirit of the hotel is living inside of the operations, not inside of these functions of organization. And if we come to the word of luxury, as I said, AI is narrative engine, which is a statistical engine, which is functioning, I will be a little bit mathematical, it's cosinus similarity. That is how it's finding all these statistical, what next letter should be or what next verb would be. And with AI, we can go much deeper into morphology of the language. And morphology of the language is showing us that what luxury means in German, what luxury means in English, in Finnish, or in Slavic languages, or Croatian, as I am Croatian, so I understand morphology of Slavic languages. Meaning is completely differently embedded. So if we copyright sunset and beautiful drink or something, in Slavic it resonates completely differently. Yeah. So up to now we have been creating our offerings based on one language and then copywriting that, translating into other languages. But we haven't been looking into the meaning, and packaging can stay the same, but the message changes based on the language. And we will start creating completely different morphological messages based on the base language of our guest.
Well, that's a powerful way to see hospitality, Vladislav, already. Let's go deeper into some of these things that you talked about. You have said that technology should be invisible. What stories are lost when hotels make tech too visible? And what new stories emerge when it disappears into the background?
Through time, we have always been fascinated with technology, and we have been proud to show our technology. But at a certain point, technology starts to be vulgar. And guest is surrounded with technology in their everyday life. So if guest is coming into our property, we can create expression in which technology is accessible, but not vulgar. For instance, when we talk about smart rooms, I think smart rooms completely miss the point. We have placed so much technology into smart rooms that I need PhD to operate the technology which is inside of the room. And through some smart connections, smart rooms are now connected to star expression. How many stars hotel have? Oh, if you want to have 5 stars, you have to have these elements of smart room. It should be present, but it should not be as visible as it is, because technology is changing so fast that we have to be aware any artifact of technology we are placing in the room, it's already obsolete when we have placed it there.
Yeah. Very good. Let's talk a little bit about culture and immersion. You argue culture must be felt and not explained. I think I remember that from our conversation. How can hoteliers shift from describing culture to immersing guests in it as a living narrative?
Before we even try to go into that artistic place of thinking of the culture, we have to understand where is our baseline. And where our baseline is, if I go to HR, I will ask all possible posters and whatever they are placing about culture, mission, vision, statement, all these beautiful content they have created, which is somewhere, not living inside of the organization. It's a PR of organization. On the other side, we have documents where culture is contained. For instance, every hospitality organization has standard operating procedures. We have standard operating procedure of the reception. And if I take that document and take documents from HR, I could extract elements of the culture which are present in that document. But if we go a step further and take this SOP of reception and sit with the receptionist and take his job description and ask him, okay, these are the documents. How do you really work? How it really happens? It is not happening what is written over there, because you are constantly improvising. And that improvisation is actually tailoring of a crystallized culture in these documents and how they are creating the value. And with consent, we can record that conversation. And then we will get baseline where we are. And only from where we are, we can start imagining steps toward where we want to go.
Yeah, I mean, What you just said reminds me of the time when I was opening a hotel in Korea, and my task was to write the sequence of service for the staff, even though the staff have great experience in hotels, in other hotels, but the company I worked for had a very particular style. And I realized that this, when I think about it now, because I thought it was that's how we should do it, but when I think it now, it actually did not help the staff at all. I mean, yes, they learned certain sequences, but it didn't help them to make their personality come out and actually to really do the thing that they were supposed to do about providing the guest an experience there with their personality. They were almost being taught to be almost like robots, and it was written as a very clear line for every single step. And I'm very glad that most hotels are maybe getting out of this already. That this is a way thing of the past. But I think that when you talk about having authentic hospitality experiences, because you have lived in Africa, you lived in Siberia. How can you just put yourself in a situation where you have been in Africa and then you have been in Siberia? How did living with tribes reshape your view of authentic hospitality? And if you reflect that little bit of what I just mentioned.
Uh, you know, when we think of hospitality, hospitality is mostly how Western civilization has imagined and shaped what hospitality is. We see that through expression of the food, how we process and present anything to guests. And for me, main impact which living with edge cultures was to understanding that actually the way how we see and think, there are other ways to think and other ways to see. So my conditioning, my cultural conditioning have it is like handicap which I'm holding within myself. And in Slavic languages, we have saying, to man with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And this is how we are approaching hospitality. Yes, there are certain conditions. We have to be profitable, process have to run. But I think that for last 10 years, actually we lost imagination. We are just repeating same old, same old. We are investing in architecture, in morphology, expression of furniture, of restaurants, of everything. But more we invest, more empty it is. So we need different approach. And that different approach is to understand the language which we are using. And I'm using that smart word on morphology. Yes, morphology is coming out from the language, but there is a morphology in biology. There is a morphology in urbanism. So there is a morphology of food. There is a morphology of reception, how expression looks like. And we need new language, new understanding, and looking through lens of morphology will give us very different insight what we are doing there and how we are managing. And then we come to a very important question. And question is, we are talking about experiences, okay? And we have standard operating procedures. Has anybody anywhere written standard operating experience document? No. How come? How come that nobody figured out, oh, we are creating all these experiences and we are keeping that in brand strategy? but how to roll out brand strategy to the level of housekeeper. That is not the language for the housekeeper. So I started writing standard operating experience documents. And from that kind of lens, you are getting solutions for so many problems, because it is not about how we will do something. It is more about looking at the questions and problems we are trying to solve and see why these questions and why these problems.
Yeah. I think in hospitality, in work in hotel, the experiences I'm always looking for are like what I call micro moments, because guests rarely remember the room, because most of the rooms unfortunately look pretty much alike.
Yeah.
But they remember a fragrance or a scent. They may remember a gesture. If I would be in Kuwait, I always remember the coffee man in the lobby and the dates that he offered, and the scent of that coffee that you get like unlike anywhere else, or how I could enjoy a Turkish coffee, which is very different to the coffee I'm used to drinking here, and I'm just wondering how hotels could design what I call micro moments that become lifelong stories. Because the stories I have are from Kuwait. The stories I have is from Oman. The stories I have is from on Korea and Thailand, and they are different stories. And in my brain and memory, I have a lot of micro moments. But I think it could be quite fascinating how a hotel can find a way to create those micro moments for the guest already in advance, that they actually helps them along to create those lifelong stories. So what are your thoughts on this idea on the micro moments?
It is very important idea. And then let's see how we will tackle that. It's not the issue, can we create micro moments? The issue is, can we do that continuously and learn how to continuously adjust, and not to create micro moment which will last for 10 years and then we will have problem how to change it, because we are in continuous change. So we have to learn how to continuously tailor these micro moments, and then even to shape them based to the profile of the guest. Because micro moment for German guest, micro moment for Finnish guest, and micro moment for guests from Balkan is not the different. It's not the same. And on the other side is, okay, even if we learn how to continuously design micro moments, and it's not rocket science, we can do that, then it is how we will embed that into the knowledge of organization. And it is not 7 days off-site workshop where we are brainstorming and then creating an army of trainers. Actually, even learning have to be continuous. And for learning to be continuous, it has to be shorter. It cannot be 2 hours learning. But imagine, what if I can deliver 3 minutes of learning every day? And these 3 minutes are not questionnaires. They are narratives. There are stories which you are listened to, and then you can reflect to it. So you are having completely different level of learning. So we have to change our paradigm. Why I call all technology we have now old technology. That is not learning management system anymore. That is the culture management system as such. And we have technology, and to be honest, it's very easy to build these kind of systems. So if we go into micro moments, we need change of structure of hospitality organization, how it's understand itself, and how it delivers message and creates message in continuum. You had that interview with gentleman who is director, movie director. I forgot the name.
Jace Bordeaux.
Bordeaux. Yeah, I watched the movie. Great movie. And this summer, I spent speaking with students from Academy of Arts, future movie directors, scenario writers. And actually, we don't have capability inside of hospitality organization to create micro moments, because micro moment is not to create micro moment is not somebody in sales or somebody in marketing. That is not the skill set we need. We need somebody who can create scenario. Then we need somebody who can orchestrate scenario as such. So we will see in future that completely new profiles and job descriptions will come into hospitality organization to orchestrate that new level of capability of hospitality organization.
Very good. Now let's challenge the way hotels have traditionally thought about their business models. Revenue management compares rooms on price. Storytelling compares properties on meaning. So how do hotels break free from price wars by selling meaning instead?
Oh, we are lucky. We are lucky in one sense and in other sense not. We are seeing that actually up to now we have delivering our messages, not necessarily even stories, through web channels, social networks, OTA, but basically it's a web technology. And in early 2000s, revenue management systems started to occur. Why? Because internet started to be mature enough after dot-com crash. And only reason why we have revenue management is not because of story. It's because of comparability with our competitor. So we have some picture which has to be beautiful, we have some text, and we have price. But there is no space over there for experience. Where to place experience? And if we look statistics of these web pages where we are presenting our offering, guests are not going very deep because they lose themselves in hierarchy of these static pages as such. But something different is happening now. Guests are not coming from Google search. They are coming from narration with AI. So the way how brain works when we are browsing and the way how brain works when we are interacting with AI, it's completely different. So when I'm talking with AI about my perfect holiday, and when it gives me 2 links, and then from AI, I'm going into the web page. I see break of the flow. Actually, I'm frustrated with that page. So we will have to change the way how web pages express themselves. And again, it's not rocket science. It's possible. It's completely possible, but we have to start detecting from where guest is coming. And we already know that. If guest is coming from mobile phone, we are presenting to the guest a different format of the web. If guest is coming from desktop computer, he's getting different format. We even have for accessibility for people who have accessibility problem with the site. We are getting different format of the web. Already now we are presenting 3 formats of the web. So meaning we can present fourth format, which is for the guests which are coming from the AI. What is the problem? We can do that. We know the technology. Only presentation layer is not how it used to be before. Now it's more responsive, it's more contextual. And I have to not to jump around the website of hospitality organization. I have to be able to mingle and understand what is happening there. And the thing is that there is a contract between AI organizations and payment processing organizations. Very soon, maybe guests will not be coming to our web anymore. Why? Because he will shape his understanding of experience and price range within AI. And today, on technological level, AI is browsing our webs. But now we have one very important technology, which is called Model Context Protocol, where we can play story.
Okay.
And then an AI knows how to talk with that. Because crawling the web is inefficient for AI. So if we create Model Context Protocol, which is holding all our content, then I can talk with it. Not to go to website, but to say, oh, this is the offering of our hospitality organization. These are the experiences outside of the organization. These are the experiences inside of the organization. And in natural voice, I can interact with it and get my understanding how my experience would look like. And I was joking on one conference that maybe in future we will first send our own personal AI to visit hotel and report back to us how it was. And maybe send it to 3 hotels and then ask which one of you guys had best time. Strange time.
Yeah, yeah. So before we close, let's zoom out and look at the bigger horizon of hospitality's future. We talked about on storytelling, but if storytelling is always about why should people care, what story are hotels failing to tell today that guests deeply would care about?
We have to go to wider context of society and where our guests are now. And these are difficult times we are living in. So economy is shaky. So the model in which we had our revenues up to now and the way how we created demand is significantly changing. Luxury is always the segment which will it has more room to breathe. But if we are talking about non-luxury segment, it will not be anymore about a beautiful, rich or something. It will be about meaningful. What can I get for my money that I can get vacation and get back to reality, which is not very good? So for that sense, we have to understand the change we will go within next 5 years. It will be dramatic. It will not be just, we will easily go into it. There will be lots of changes. And honestly, we are not prepared for it. And we have to start changing the way how we operate in hospitality organizations just to learn how to be ready for the change. We cannot buy 10 kilos of some solution anymore. It has to be us within a hospitality organization. So in every hospitality organization, I would establish something like a crisis team, but crisis sounds very dramatic. I would create opportunity team. The the team which would actually reshape hospitality organization for what hospitality organization will be in economy, what economy will be in 5 years, what market will be in 5 years, and what guest would be in 5 years.
Okay, so let's try to look at the crystal ball looking ahead for 10 years. What bold story will redefine luxury hospitality, and who will be brave enough to tell it?
Human touch. That is essence of hospitality. So we have to place emphasis on human touch. I don't want to be part of a robot hotel. Yes, we can have robots for some functions, but I want to be surrounded with people, with human beings, and more humane hotel is, more human touch there is within hospitality organization, more meaningful my vacation is.
Very good. Well, thank you, Vladislav, for sharing such thought-provoking perspective. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us today. The Social Hotelier podcast, if this episode inspired you, please share it with your colleague, and let's keep redefining hospitality one story at a time. And finally, where, Vladislav, people who like to reach out to you, how can they find you, and where are you more active so you will answer their calls for help?
They can reach me on LinkedIn and on Substack. Just search for my name and you will find me.
Thank you very much. And until next time, I'm Sam-Erik, wishing you memorable stories and meaningful journeys.